It's Friday, it's Brew With A Blue, it's the last one of the week. Hope everybody's been enjoying the videos this week. And I'm delighted to say, as you can all see, joining me now for the final one of the week. This is the second time we've recorded this. Paddy with the stick, Greg. On the first time we did this introduction, I don't want to give him too much stick again, but it's a man who has to speak to Paddy every day. It's Greg O'Keefe from The Athletic. Greg, thanks very much for coming.
You know what? I actually miss our little Thursday meetings at Bold Street, not Bold Street Coffee, Santa Maluca's, the Castle Street Coffee bit there, when we'd plan the following week and doing far too much caffeine for like post lunchtime on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the many things, isn't it? What you think you take for granted, meeting up with colleagues and friends for a brew or a pint after work. So I won't be taking it for granted anymore, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. But how are you doing in general then? Are you coping with it all right? Are you sort of used to it a little bit now? Or are you struggling to, especially looking outside with this weather and, I live really close to Sefton Park. You still see people out and about. It's dead frustrating, but I suppose we've all got to be sensible, haven't we?
Yeah, and it's funny how quickly you adapt, isn't it, in terms of just your daily routine and your practices and stuff like that. And even things like the sort of your TV watching habits, your eating habits, your training and stuff like that. You kind of, after a bit of getting into a weird kind of period of like, oh, what the hell's going on? You do fall into a new pattern and routine, but it's only kind of like I say, well, like you say there, when the sun's blazing like this, and you think of like Sefton Park or Formby Beach and places that you'd absolutely love to go and spend an afternoon, and it feels like it. I was saying to my friend actually, I don't in any way wish that sort of regret this weather because it's boss, but at the same time it's torture, isn't it? But imagine how bad it'd be if it was just pissing down, it'd be even worse.
Absolutely. I mean, have you found time? Because I think there's, from doing these videos and speaking to people in general, I think there's two sets of people in regards to all this. I think a lot of people are just having a bit of a deep breath and taking some rest and recuperation, which is obviously absolutely sound. But there's been a lot of people who've tried to push the boundaries a little bit, try new things, try and learn new things. I mean, would you put yourself in either of those camps? Have you tried to read more, do more exercise, watch more things? Have you tried to, take on something new in this time or not?
I mean, I suppose I've been loving from a work point of view how busy we've been. So it's fortunate in the sense that the Athletic has been full steam ahead. They haven't looked at furloughing any members of staff, and if anything, they've asked us to produce more and more articles and content and podcasts. So from that point of view, having that sort of extra demand or sort of normal demand has meant I can get like a healthy routine going in terms of getting up at the normal time I'd get up to go to work, and maybe logging off about 5-6 o'clock. And so in some ways it's a normal working pattern. So I do see people on Instagram and stuff like that who've been furloughed, and think you kind of wonder, it'd be great to be able to maybe learn a language or take up a new instrument and stuff like that. But in all seriousness, I kind of don't envy that, because I think I'd go nuts after, if I was just twiddling my thumbs for too long. I just think it wouldn't suit me. So I'm grateful to be just plugging on with work. And reading wise, I love reading, but actually, no, I've not been. It's more I've been catching up on like a lot of films that I'd always wanted to see if I had the time. And now in the evenings, I've got the time. So it's been more of a film thing for me so far.
Yeah, even though you said that you used to work from home, and it is a big part of any journalist job, I suppose. And in the modern day, you must miss that getting out and interacting. Because obviously, you do the press conferences, you've done loads of great features and interviews with the Athletic. You go with the game and that sort of stuff. I mean, is that a part of your job that you say before this lockdown that was more prevalent than previous roles for you? Were you getting out and speaking to more people and more players and the coaching staff more often?
Yeah, in different places I've worked, it's differed. So at the Echo, you'd be out and about a lot, and BBC Sports a lot less so, and then the Athletic in normal times, a lot. Back to the sort of able to go and report on a club more or less the traditional way, in terms of physically being at the training ground, interviewing people, going to the match. Obviously, the way we're doing things is different, but that matter of actually being on the club sort of beat is something that's, I think, really important for Paddy and myself, and for anyone who's covering a sport or a club. And that's what I prefer. I don't like working from home, if I'm honest, mate. It's not for me. I used to grew up in media, in big busy newsrooms with like sort of vibrant atmospheres and people, swearing and throwing things around and all sorts of like sort of chaos. But at the same time, some brilliant kind of colleagues and friends, and that's what I enjoy, really. I don't must admit, probably one of the hardest things for me is kind of working from the kitchen table, because I just think I say this to Paddy, I just think it blurs the boundaries between work and sort of non-work, your leisure time, and it's not much fun for me. It suits some people who've got children and things like that. I totally understand, but yeah, it's not for me. Not long term, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask which people at the Echo are throwing stuff around and swearing in the newsroom. I'll leave that one to you. But it's interesting the way you put that in regards to. I was going to come on to speak about your career in journalism a little bit later, but I think it's really interesting the way you put it there in regards to being back on the club beat, because I suppose in some respects you must feel as though you've sort of come full circle with it all from when you started out at the Echo and you were doing that sort of stuff. You went to being an editor, which I imagine was maybe a bit of was that more of a step back from being on the club beat and doing the press conferences and that sort of thing.
Yeah, slightly.
You've gone to you've gone to the BBC and now you're back doing the Athletic. I mean, do you feel as though you've sort of come full circle with it all a little bit?
Yeah, in a way, yeah, definitely. In terms of the sort of being around and going to matches and kind of the interviews and that sort of thing, definitely it feels like more of a start to the way you try and embed yourself in the culture and life of a club as it was at the Echo. So yeah, definitely. I mean, it's different from the Echo at the Athletic in a lot of ways, but in that sense, there's a similarity which I enjoy.
Yeah, I suppose one of the other things I sort of had a scan through your Twitter feed before, and some of the stuff you were retweeting, and you retweeted the post from a journalist at the BBC, Mariana Spring, regarding disinformation at this point, and and how devastating it can be in regards to a lot of cases, especially when we're dealing with a virus and stuff like that. And just sort of throughout your journalistic career, do you think that's sort of been the biggest challenge and the biggest change in regards to the things you've got to deal with? Because it's not just everyday life, but in football as well. It's something that I think you and Paddy do really well at the Athletic currently in regards to getting to the crux of the matter, getting the truth out there and reporting on things properly. But it feels as though it's sort of crept into football more and more in recent years, and has been dealing with that misinformation and sort of like rumours and stuff like that been a big challenge.
It's a good question, mate. Yeah, I think it's been a challenge for journalists in any capacity, in any genre, sports, as much as news, and I think politics, and just for all of our sort of day-to-day lives. When you look at if you widen it out to Brexit or the US political scene with Donald Trump, sort of the willful manipulation of misinformation has been like such a malignant force in this kind of world, I'd say, for at least the past decade, I guess. And football, the most important of all unimportant things, as has been quoted by, I think, Ancelotti. It's affected as well. And so, yeah, you're right, that has largely kind of compounded by Twitter, I guess, for me. I've got a love-hate relationship with Twitter. I admire its ability to unite tribes and people of like-minded things, football fans, Evertonians. When it's good and when it's done positively, I think it's great. But I also I can't stand the way it can kind of really sort of like the touch paper on misinformation, rumours, nonsense, and also the way people can be attacked. The herd mentality. Not a very apt phrase actually at the moment, is it? Herd mentality.
Of course.
Herd anything, but the way it can. I suppose the way it can be used in a negative sense. But I'd say from like my colleagues at the Echo, like Dave Prentice, who did what I used to do, probably for a good period, about sort of 10 years beforehand, when he would have, working practice would have been going to Finchford and Belfield in the morning, speaking to the manager, the players every single day. And yeah, rumours, of course, are always been part of football. There's always people who like to appear in the know, and there's always people who are in the know, whether that's journalists, people who just know people who work at the clubs, or a whole host of different people. But I think what changed with Twitter is it gave them a voice, which is great, but it also gave a lot of other people. I can think of dozens of accounts on Twitter that sprung up, a voice which is anonymous, which for whatever reason, usually the more garish and outlandish the rumours they peddle, but they get traction, and that makes it doesn't help. I don't think, and it doesn't help journalists, like, boo-hoo kind of, I'm sure there's not more, but it does sometimes. It does muddy the water, and like the one time you see it, and it's not as damaging at all, but around the deadline days and things like that, you see a lot of nonsense being spouted by people who effectively just want attention. And that's, as you say, has been a really long-winded way of saying, yeah, it's changed a lot.
Yeah, and do you find that hard balance to strike in regards to Twitter? Because, as you said there, I think you pretty much get it spot on in regards to. I wish I could be a little bit more circumspect, like you are on there, take a step back. But I find myself getting involved in conversations, getting involved in debates. I mean, given the nature of your job, and obviously you guys want to be really interactive with fans. Is it hard to take that step back sometimes?
Yeah, completely. I mean, I wasn't always, in your words, circumspect. I used to enjoy sometimes as well, getting more involved and like have debates and stuff like that. But I think for a journalist, it can become counterproductive. It's great to show that, the thing is, it depends whether or not you're trying to establish impartiality or not. It's pretty clear that I'm an Evertonian, so I don't think that's any kind of shock to anyone. And so supporting the team that you report on is one thing. Professionally, I'll always try and be impartial, obviously. But then at the same time, I'd want Everton to win anything. So there's that. But I think you've sometimes got to be just a little bit careful of getting too dragged in, because then you forget the fundamentals of reporting. And if you value an organisation, then reporting on it properly is just as helpful as anything really, or being a fan. I can be a fan the weekends that I'm not working. I've got a match with my dad and my brother, but the weekends that I'm working, I'm there to try and tell people, give them a decent picture of what's happening, and a sort of depth of understanding of issues at the club. So yeah, and also I just used to argue with people. I just end up getting dragged into arguments, and there's more to life than arguing with people about football on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I did want to ask you about quickly was you mentioned him already, Carlo Ancelotti, in regards to having him at the football club and sort of having to deal with him. How have you found that so far? I mean, even someone like yourself who's been around the football club for so long and done so much great reporting on the football club, you must every now and then just look at this fella and think, I can't believe he's here.
It's surreal, isn't it? It still hasn't worn off, really. If you'd have said to, this obviously isn't disparaging to Everton, but if you just said 12 months ago, crystal ball, there might be a few things that you'd want to bring up if you had that crystal ball. But say you were talking about just sport and you said, Carlo Ancelotti is going to be the Everton manager. I struggle. Not many people will believe that. And every now and again, although we live in surreal times, I think that's a surreal aspect of the Evertonian life, isn't it? When you think one of the most successful club managers in club football is our manager. It's absolutely fantastic. And, like with anything, it's just frustrating that sort of the beginning of that process has been paused, doesn't it? And it was paused on a sour note for us, wasn't it? With the game of Chelsea, and frustrating, and in no way really indicative of the start of his reign. But it would have just been so nice. I know it's only a small thing in the grand scheme of things, but it would be nice to have had the chance to get that out of our system, whether it was in the derby or the games after that. But you can't only be anything other than positive about it. Bookends every argument about the future on and off the pitch, the Bramley Moor. When you think that the move to this new stadium on the waterfront, and the fact that Carlo Ancelotti is a manager, you can't be anything, I feel, other than optimistic. I know it's something that kind of we'll keep we'll keep clinging to it in these times. But it's funny you were saying, chatting where we before we started recording about the Blue Room. And
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
me and Dave Bennett used to be on the early doors. I used to enjoy meeting up with Dave and getting that lift to the top of the tower where you get a nosebleed by the time you get to the top. And
Yeah. But hopefully we'll be able to look out when we get back to the tower. We'll be able to look out and see you. You get a great view from up there. But I was going to bring that up. I don't know if a lot of people know this. Maybe people who are new listeners to our show and our YouTube content used to be on the Blue Room pretty much every week when it first started.
yeah, that's it. Back in the back in the sort of wasn't it like a radio? Was it a podcast then as well, or was it just a radio?
No, I think it's just a radio. So it was you, Dave Bennett, Dave Downey, and
Ped would be on it a lot.
Ped, of course,
Ped
yeah.
Bartland, You came on a few times, didn't you, towards the sort of back end of that. I used to enjoy it. Yeah, good bunch of lads, and it was always a good conversation talking about the Blues. And like I say, what a setting, to do it in. Yeah. Anyone who hasn't been up the tower, when normality returns, just get yourself on that tour, because the view of the city on a clear day is just fantastic.
Just don't go up on a windy day. I'm sure you were up there a few times. You could feel it swaying, can't you? You still goes up and down a little bit.
That's it.
What's obviously asked people to wear the kits, favorite kits.
I've let you down.
You've not got one. But have you got one in mind? If you had a wardrobe full of Everton kits from your lifetime, home or away, or third kits, is the one you'd go to and say, yeah, that's my favourite?
My favourite. That's a good question. I love the original salmon and blue away kit. Was it 92, 93, was it? Or 93, 94? I love that kit. But I was thinking the other day, and it was a funny one, because I think Sylvain Distin tweeted about, no, it was one of the fan accounts actually, tweeted of the summer of Roberto Martinez first arrived. Yeah. And they were launching they had night kits. And growing up, I loved Everton's Umbro kits, but then after that, we went down a little bit of a slide in terms of the quality of the manufacturers. And obviously, growing up in this city, it's all about like the premium sports brands, isn't it? And they always had, Adidas, which is a bit annoying because they make smart stuff, and you'd always kind of hoped Everton would compete and get a good one. And getting Nike, I was pretty chuffed. A bit sad, really, but I was chuffed when they got a Nike kit. And I think the first couple were decent. They might have just been. They didn't give us the star treatment, did they? But I think they were a nice kit. Yeah. They were a nice kit. And then I remember that being one of the really fortunate parts of reporting back then at the Echo was you were able to go on pre-season tours with the club, and Martinez took them to LA, Miami, and San Francisco when they played in I think it was the inaugural Champions Trophy.
Yeah. Real Madrid, Juve, Valencia.
That's the one. Yeah. When John Stones scored that penalty against Juve, I think. And so I was there the day they revealed that yellow and the Banana Man kit, yellow and blue.
Oh, when Jags by the swimming pool.
Yeah, and when Paddy and we were talking about the kits, I think in the back of that video that the fan account tweeted, you can see me sort of gormlessly lumbering around with a backpack. And I just remember the stick that Jags was getting off camera from the rest of the squad for doing his little photo shoot, and that wasn't really Jags' cup of tea, photo shoots or anything like that. He was quite embarrassed, but got on with it like the pro he was. And but just that team, from a professional point of view as well, that team in general was good bunch of lads, and sort of camaraderie and spirit was brilliant. I think they were sort of reinvigorated by a bit of a change. They all respected David Moyes, but he'd moved on, and Martinez came in, said a lot of the right things, was really kind of compelling, introduced a lot of new things into how they played, obviously for better or worse, certainly in the short term for better. And I think when you think of pre-season tours, the ones that go well, because I did a piece on this a couple of weeks ago at The Athletic about the 03-04 tour to Houston, which Moyes took them on to the States, and they came back and the following season finished fourth. And then obviously I was unable to go, I wasn't reporting on Everton then, but I was lucky enough to go on this one to the States, and then they came back and morale was really high, and they hit the ground running, had a brilliant season and finished fifth. And as ever, 72 points would have got you top four most years before that. So we should really have been in the Champions League or qualifying anyway. But in recent history, that's one of my most enjoyable seasons. That the sort of, they still had the defensive organisation and rigour of Moyes, but Martinez sort of progressive approach to attacking play, and everything came together quite nicely, didn't it? And if I could capture one season and just kind of relive it, it would probably be that. Tremendous.
Yeah, one of my favourite kits is from that season. It's the one we wore away at West Ham when Bain scored the 2 free kicks. So the white and like dark blue one. Yeah, it's really smart.
Really nice kit. Yeah.
Just a shame about the badge that season, wasn't it? Awful badge.
It was. I remember at the time, the club got absolute pelters, but it was a bad idea really, but there was a genuine reason. Like they were under pressure from the Premier League to change the crest, because there was two. Do you remember it was the two laurel leaves, were traditionally outside the Everton badge, and that was causing for some issue globally with the Premier League when they were trying to transpose it to different broadcasters. It was causing them problems. So I think Robert Elston decided, we need a new badge, and it went badly. But fair play to people like Alan Myers, who were at the club at the time. He was absolutely fantastic, Alan, to work with, and still is. And he was the communications director, and just got Evertonians, I think, and he realised that they needed to just relook at this. And I think he got Blues involved, and there was a selection of redesigns, and really harnessed the club's the supporters' enthusiasm. Let the clubs decide on the new badge, and then in the end they picked the nice one that we've got now, which wasn't that much difference. I think it just had the laurel leaves inside. And
it did really well to turn that negative situation into quite a positive one, which sort of brought everyone together.
Exactly. And Alan was doing that all the time, with his team mornings and stuff like that. I think I'm not sure if he might have left the club the following season or something like that. So, like I say, it was a really positive, good era for the club on and off the pitch, I think. And, you never know if that shirt has that badge on it down just sort of 10, 20 years time, might be worth a bit more because it was so rare. But maybe not in days of mass production, but it was, it wasn't the best for us, that badge.
Yeah, if we'd qualified for the Champions League or won a cup or something, it would have been worth an absolute fortune. But just before we wrap up, Greg, I've got to give you a right response, because Gav Buckland was giving me grief about my hair on yesterday's video. When I said that you were coming up, I think he used the phrase burst mattress to describe yours. And I think yours looks pretty smart and well-groomed, certainly compared to mine. That
was my own. He's stealing my own phrase there.
Oh, okay, so
I gave myself a self-administered haircut on Saturday. And
you did that yourself?
Well, I didn't touch the top. That would have been disastrous, mate. I wouldn't have. I would have looked like that I'd been in some sort of serious accident that required very quick shaving of my head. No, basically, I tried to do the back and sides, and I got really sort of anal about it and watched 6 videos and kind of. So basically, if you need me after the lockdown, all your hair cutting needs, never mind Everton. I'll come round, quick shot, back and side. But no, I did manage to do that. I wouldn't touch the top. I think I'll end up like you at the end of it.
Yeah.
What's your? You're just going to go for it and just let it.
I think so, mate. Yeah, I think so. I only get mine cut like every few months anyway, because my wife's mum is a hairdresser and she lives down like near Bath. So basically, whenever I get me down there, or they come up here to visit us, I get a cut. So I had a cut before my wedding in February. So by the time they come out, I end up looking like Fellaini or something like that. Well, probably more like Nick Madar than anything. But
hey, there's worse looks, mate.
I suppose so, mate. Yeah, but Greg, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much. Like you said, could be the Athletics hairdressing correspondent when it's all this is over. You never know.
Yeah, I'll probably make more sense doing that.
Nice one. But do go over and check Greg's stuff and Paddy's stuff out on The Athletic. I'll include the link in the description below. The All Together Now podcast as well, with Greg and Tony's always well worth a listen, as is Greg and Paddy's podcast with The Athletic, Glad Tidings. All the links for them below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, please comment, please share it. Have a good weekend, and we'll speak to you again soon.